Anna Kendrick's first foray into directing, Woman of the Hour, serves as a curious blend of true crime and drama. Known for her versatile performances in films like A Simple Favor and the Pitch Perfect series, Kendrick now takes her talents behind the camera, offering a compelling, albeit familiar, film about notorious serial killer Rodney Alcala. The film, despite its promising premise, often feels like yet another installment in the oversaturated true crime genre, though its final moments leave an impression that hints at Kendrick's potential as a filmmaker. At first glance, Woman of the Hour stands out for two significant reasons. It's Kendrick's directorial debut, and it's based on the disturbing real-life story of Rodney Alcala, the infamous serial killer who shocked America in the 1970s. Alcala's crimes were heinous, with an estimated body count in the 130s, though he was convicted for the murders of just 7 people. But while the gravity of Alcala's crimes might suggest a chilling narrative, Woman of the Hour often struggles to rise above the formulaic true crime tropes audiences have come to expect. Rodney Alcala, a serial killer and convicted sex offender, terrorized women and girls across the United States in the 1970s. However, his story gained particular infamy due to his appearance on the popular TV show The Dating Game in 1978, during which he successfully charmed his way into a date despite his murderous tendencies. Kendrick's Woman of the Hour seizes on this bizarre chapter in Alcala's life to craft its central narrative. Cheryl, played by Kendrick herself, is an aspiring actress living in Los Angeles. Frustrated by the lack of opportunities in Hollywood, she takes her agent's advice and appears on The Dating Game in the hopes of gaining exposure for her career. What was meant to be a light-hearted foray into the world of reality TV turns into something far more sinister when one of the contestants competing for Cheryl's affections turns out to be none other than Rodney Alcala. In true crime fashion, the film intersperses Cheryl's encounter on The Dating Game with the stories of Alcala's other victims, weaving together a chilling tapestry of fear, manipulation, and violence. But while this structure offers moments of tension, Woman of the Hour largely relies on familiar beats, making it feel more like an extended episode of a true crime series than a fresh cinematic experience. One of the challenges Kendrick faces in her directorial debut is tackling a genre that has become so ubiquitous that it's difficult to present something truly original. True crime stories, particularly those involving notorious figures like Alcala, have been explored in podcasts, documentaries, TV shows, and films over the past decade, leading to a certain level of desensitization among viewers. For a film to stand out in this crowded space, it needs to offer something more than just the facts of the case. It needs to provide depth, nuance, and a fresh perspective. Unfortunately, Woman of the Hour often falls short in these areas. The film's strongest theme lies in its exploration of gender dynamics, particularly the ways in which women are often objectified, ignored, or endangered by men. Set in the 1970s, Woman of the Hour brings to light the blatant misogyny of the era, where men wielded unchecked power both in personal and professional settings. Cheryl's experience on The Dating Game is emblematic of this, as the show presents her as a prize to be won, rather than a person with agency and autonomy. The film's feminist undertones are clear, with Kendrick and screenwriter Ian McDonald making a concerted effort to shift the focus away from Alcala and towards the women who were affected by him. This decision to center the narrative on the victims rather than the perpetrator is commendable, and it helps differentiate Woman of the Hour from other true crime stories that tend to glorify or sensationalize the killers they depict. However, the film's messaging often lacks subtlety, with its feminist themes occasionally feeling heavy-handed. There are moments where the script spells out its intentions in a way that feels forced, rather than allowing the audience to arrive at these conclusions organically. This lack of nuance detracts from the film's overall impact, making it feel more like a lecture on gender inequality than a fully fleshed-out story. While the film's narrative structure and thematic execution may be flawed, the performances across the board are solid. Kendrick, in her dual role as both star and director, brings a grounded, relatable quality to Cheryl. Her portrayal of a woman navigating the predatory landscape of Hollywood in the 1970s feels authentic and believable, and she successfully conveys the mix of vulnerability and resilience that defines her character. The supporting cast also shines, with even the actors in minor roles delivering compelling performances. Despite limited screen time, these characters feel lived in, adding layers of depth to the world Kendrick has created. This is perhaps one of the film's greatest strengths, its ability to make the audience care about the people Alcala's crimes have affected, even if only briefly. Rodney Alcala, played by an actor who chillingly embodies the killer's unsettling charm, serves as a menacing presence throughout the film. However, Woman of the Hour wisely avoids spending too much time with Alcala, instead choosing to focus on the women whose lives he upended. This choice not only subverts the typical true crime narrative, which often centers the killer, but it also underscores the film's broader themes about the way society treats women. While the majority of Woman of the Hour feels somewhat generic, the film's final act elevates it to another level. The last 20 minutes are tense, disturbing, and emotionally resonant, providing a glimpse of what Kendrick is capable of as a filmmaker. It is in these moments that the film truly comes into its own, delivering a chilling portrayal of Alcala's eventual downfall and the impact his crimes had on his victims and their families. The climactic scenes are where Kendrick's directorial vision shines the brightest. The pacing is tight, the tension palpable, and the emotional weight of the story is finally allowed to take center stage. It's clear that Kendrick has a strong sense of how to build suspense and create atmosphere, and this bodes well for her future projects. However, the strength of the film's conclusion also highlights the weaknesses of its earlier sections. The first two acts feel like they're treading water, following a predictable true crime formula without offering much in the way of innovation or surprise. As a result, the film's powerful ending feels somewhat unearned, as though the audience is being rewarded for sitting through an otherwise lackluster story. Despite its flaws, Woman of the Hour shows promise for Kendrick as a director. While the film itself may not be groundbreaking, it's clear that she has a strong sense of character and an ability to elicit strong performances from her cast. If Kendrick can continue to develop her directorial style and take on projects that allow for more creativity and risk-taking, she has the potential to become a notable voice in the film industry. In many ways, Woman of the Hour feels like a stepping stone for Kendrick, a chance for her to cut her teeth as a director and experiment with the medium. It's not a perfect film by any means, but it's a solid debut that suggests she has a bright future behind the camera. Woman of the Hour is far from a perfect film. Its reliance on true crime tropes and heavy-handed messaging detract from its overall impact, and the first two acts feel disappointingly generic. However, the film's final act is a powerful reminder of what the true crime genre can achieve when it focuses on the emotional and psychological toll of real-life events, rather than merely recounting the facts. Kendrick's directorial debut may not break new ground, but it offers enough moments of brilliance to suggest that she has a future in filmmaking. If she can refine her approach and take on more daring projects, Kendrick could very well establish herself as a director worth watching. For now, Woman of the Hour serves as a competent, if somewhat unremarkable, entry into the true crime canon, one that leaves us curious to see what Kendrick will do next.